Hello again, how you doing? My name's Trey Schlichting from A Company Mounted Archery Training here in South Texas. Today I'm going to talk to you about release. There's a lot of argument about what kind of release works best, what is ancient, what has been used by our forefathers, and I really think that it comes down to what works best for the individual. There's pros and cons to each one, and they can go on a lengthy discussion. What I'm going to try to do here is teach you 3 options to try to see which one works for you. By no means are these the only 3 ways to draw the bow and how to grip the string. However, these are the 3 most common ones that have been used throughout the dawn of man when they started picking up the bow. First of all, I'm going to talk about the Mediterranean release. Secondly, I'll talk about a tertiary release. And third, the thumb release. One of the things that you need to keep in mind is where the arrow sits in reference to the riser, depending on your release. What will happen is, if the string comes off the fingers going this direction, there's an oscillation on the string during the launch cycle. In order for the arrow to fly smoothly, consistently, and accurately, the arrow has to be on the side of the riser that the oscillation is going. Otherwise, the arrow in mid-launch can shoot off and launch early, and you cannot be consistent, and it's not safe. So if I am shooting with my fingers in my Mediterranean release and the string comes off this way, it'll oscillate. It looks like a straight shot, but there's actually oscillation. At that case, you need the arrow on this side of the riser. And if I'm using a thumb release, the string comes off on the other side, in which case I need to put the arrow over my other thumb on this side of the riser. The thing to remember when you're doing this is that to practice with them and see which fits best for you and the way your fingers work and the way you grab. Remember, you're going to want to do this on a bouncing horse. And as I said, there's pros and cons to both, and most people, when they learn one way, they become a zealot. I suggest that you learn all 3 different ways and see which way works best for you and the type of shooting that you're going to do. I'm going to come close to the camera and show you what I'm up to. The first one is the Mediterranean release. In this case, when you're loading from the quiver, you grab the arrow, you slip it over your finger. You slide your thumb back till you can feel the knock. Then you knock, doing a speed knock, throwing your index finger on the bottom, over the top, and your 2 lower fingers underneath. The important thing to remember, let me repeat, the important thing to remember, if you don't want this arrow to bounce on a bouncing horse and lose the shot, is that you need to put the primary force in the draw on the bottom finger. This middle finger and this bottom finger is going to be the heavy force. If I pull heavy or even with the top finger, the arrow comes off and it bounces when the horse is bouncing. But if I pull on the bottom, it does not. I'm going to step back and let you see what I'm talking about. Using proper technique, I can sit here and I can load the bow upside down. As soon as there's enough tension with my bottom 2 fingers, I can drop this finger and I can shoot the bow upside down. Okay? That'll allow you, once you learn to do that properly, to use the Mediterranean release on horseback. Okay? The next release I'm going to show you is called the tertiary release. Very common with Native Americans in the United States. On the tertiary release, it's the same thing. The arrows are coming off these 2 fingers. You're going to slide the arrow in, speed knock it. Then you're going to put these 2 fingers under the string, drawing. You're going to pinch it between the second knuckle of your index finger and your thumb. What's nice about a tertiary release is because you're pinching it with your thumb, it allows you to hold that arrow in place and it will never bounce off. The drawback to this tertiary release is that it doesn't work well with heavy bows because of the way the release is. It gives a tremendous amount of string oscillation because look how much finger is sticking out versus the Mediterranean. On the Mediterranean, something that I forgot to mention that I need to mention now is that string should hit in these first creases of your digits. It's important not to grab it with your fist, but make sure the string lines up at the first crease of the digits of your fingers. Again, the tertiary release, I'm sorry about digressing there, means that you slide it up here, bring your finger back, index the knot, hit it in place, then these two fingers go underneath, this thumb locks it between your index finger, and then you come back and shoot. I didn't do a full draw that time because I was so far close to the camera I didn't want to lose you in the perspective. The other technique, which is very common around the world, it's called the thumb release. This is an Asian technique, and it's an ancient technique for war. On the thumb release, you take your arrow and you slap it up here on your thumb. You slide back here, you knock. On this technique, you take your thumb and you run it underneath here, like this. Then you wrap your finger around. At that point, you draw back and hit full anchor. I hope that stayed in the camera. I'm going to step back and do it as it. Right. I'm going to step back here, and I'll show you again. All right. But because of the string oscillation coming off your thumb, you put the arrow on the other side by your thumb. An easy rule of thumb for this, I apologize, is that wherever your fingers or digits are pointing that are gripping the string, that's the side of the riser that the arrow will go. So if you're gripping the string in any manner with your digits pointing to the left of the riser, then the arrow has to go on the left to have proper oscillation and accurate shooting. If your digits are pointing to the right of the riser, then the arrow has to be on the right. Since the thumb release puts it on the right, we're going to put it there. So for proper thumb release, we're going to draw properly, come back, look where you want your arrow to go. That's how it's done. Thank you very much.